Hi, I'm Joan Newcomb, and today's morning musings is internal navigational system. I'm doing a series of daily morning musings, and I'm using posts from my blog, Adventures in Density and Effort, as inspiration. Now, I wrote this a long time ago. This is one of my older blogs, and so if I encounter anything in there that is out of date, I will interrupt myself and give you the most recent information. At the end, I will summarize the topic based on what's going on in the world today. Also, I have some special offers, so stay tuned to the very end to see what they are. Internal navigational system. I've been having an amazing period of growth recently. A series of circumstances brought me yet again to another bottom around New Year's. It turned out not to be a crashing through the floors to the basement bottoming out, but instead I landed on my feet and I discovered that I was actually on the third floor. A kind of divine intervention happened to instantly restore my energy to myself and my focus to my own life. And when I did that, I felt wonderful. If I spent any time looking at the previous 5 months, I felt like crap. I'd gotten off track last summer when I began crossing my own boundaries, feeling that there was something wrong with me if I felt bad when someone was inconsiderate or hurtful towards me. Something critical or insulting would be said, and instead of backing off, I would try really hard to gain outside approval. All that evaporated over New Year's. Focusing on my own life, I saw where I needed to roll up my sleeves and work, and also some really great things almost instantly manifested in my life. I suddenly felt connected with the universe and flooded with affinity for myself and my world. I was almost giddy with self-esteem. Thoughts like, I'm the most wonderful person standing in these shoes. I am the most adorable person inside this coat. I'm the loveliest person in this bathroom would pop into my head. Random thoughts like these continue, and I feel restored to my inner guidance system in a way that I haven't felt in years. Being in this place of clarity, it's much easier to choose where I want to direct my thoughts. For instance, instead of remembering how awful an experience was, I can appreciate how delightful the present is, or consciously set an intention for a future experience. What I focus on magnetically attracts more of the same. Sometimes it seems almost magical, the positive and good feeling experiences that keep flowing towards me. I find I have to make choices about who I hang out with and be aware of the atmosphere of places in which I hang out. Some people have been quite upset with me that I'm not in the same level of drama or misery that they are. Some environments are no longer comfortable for me, and that's okay. The world is so big, so vast, that there are endless choices of people to be with and places to go. At the beginning of this article, I mentioned all that has occurred with a divine intervention over New Year's, but I realized that some of this was set into motion over a year ago. The previous December, I made a decision to quit working in Bellevue because I wanted to facilitate spiritual classes. Back then, I realized that I'd been operating under the radar for most of my life so that I wouldn't be the target for my father's criticism. This didn't work. It invited more. I realized that my life was really between myself and Source, God, Universe. So I made the decision to step forward and risk being entirely self-employed with my 3 businesses, even though my savings ran out in February. This November, I challenged myself to further examine my patterns about money, which has affected relationships and my choices for most of my adult life. Each of these steps took me out of my stuck patterns and allowed me my divine intervention. Each of these steps were course corrections, each time gaining back a little more connection to my internal guidance. If you're feeling off course in your own life, you could look at how you've been navigating through your choices and actions. Have you been basing your decisions on outside approval or inner well-being? Even one small change, one baby step, can start steering you towards a better feeling place. Tiny changes can start a ripple effect that can result in your whole universe coming into alignment. So try these baby steps this week and see what happens. And leave me a comment below because I love to read your comments. So I wrote this before I had this huge consciousness shift, and actually this preceded this consciousness shift. One of the things I decided to do at that period of time was I made a commitment to teach everything I knew. I had looked at my original organization where I had worked for 14 years and I'd gone through 5 years of training with them. They seemed to not train people up to the same level as the people at the top. In fact, at the time, there was a huge gap between the people at the top and the people underneath. And then I looked at Findhorn, this spiritual community in Scotland, and I had noticed they had stopped teaching the mystery school aspect there, so people didn't have the same level of training or awareness there as well. And it seemed to me at the time to be a kind of job security. So that's where I was like, I'm just going to teach everything I know. Immediately, what started happening was I started with a class of clients who became students, and I started teaching them everything I knew. I ended up having 4 years of curriculum for them. About 9 months into that, I went into a huge growth space, huger than the one I was talking about there. And then I realized that's probably why people don't teach all the way up to the same level. I mean, one thing is you've been doing it for 5, 10, 15, 20 years more than anybody else. It's hard to bring somebody up to your level because they just haven't had the life experience with it. But the other thing that happened for me was I stepped into this 5D experience. I stepped into a new experience of consciousness, and it was really uncomfortable because I was used to being an expert. I was on the leading edge of the work I was doing. And then suddenly these techniques that I had been practicing for 25 years at the time stopped working. These were techniques that were developed in ancient Egypt and had worked for people over thousands of years. And what I discovered for myself is that we're in a brand new era, and these old techniques are like old technology. It's kind of like dial-up, and you can't access the cosmic internet using dial-up. So I had to upgrade all the work, and I went through new growth experiences with that. And I have upgraded techniques and brand new techniques now to navigate with. I went through a similar thing just recently. When I started doing these videos, I decided I'm going to read everything in my blog, and I'm going to share everything that I know. So I'm in kind of that new space again of sharing everything I know, and miracles are happening again. So it's really interesting when you make that kind of commitment to your life to see what transformation happens. So if you like these videos, please share them with your family and friends, and also click the like button and subscribe. And that way you tell YouTube to share this with more people and get this information out to people who really need to see it. And if you'd like a free sample of one of my consciousness techniques, click on the link below to the Skybox technique. It'll give you an expanded perspective of your life and give you some new ideas on ways to go. And if you want some manifestation techniques, Manifesting Money and Miracles is my self-study course where you can learn new ways to manifest money and miracles and completely transform your life. And if you want to know more, my website is joan-newcomb.com. There you can learn about my individual sessions where I take a look at you and what's going on in your life today. And I can answer any questions that you might have, and it's all recorded just for you. And if you want to learn how to do this yourself with consciousness techniques, Manifesting Money and Miracles is a great preparation for my coaching special where I work with you one-on-one, and I give you specifically chosen techniques so that you can transform your life. And you can find out more at my website, so go to my website, joan-newcomb.com, and I'll see you tomorrow in another Morning Musings.